Enchantmint is one of the many myths in Plants vs. Zombies 2, and today I'm going to be ranking every single plant in his family from worst to best. And well, there's a total of 13 plants in this family, and well, starting off at the number 13 spot, we have the Intensive Carrot. Now, the Intensive Carrot has a 20-second recharge time, and it costs 100 sun, and while the recharge time and the sun cost are sort of bad for what this plant does. As though the only use of Intensive Carrot is that after a zombie eats a plant, you could actually revive the plant using the Intensive Carrot by placing down the Intensive Carrot on where the plant died. Which does sound pretty useful, but the majority of the time, the plants that you're putting at the front of the lawn will be the ones getting eaten. The majority of the time, those plants cost less than 100 sun or cost about equal. And well, since the Intensive Carrot has a 20-second recharge time, there's really no point of using the Intensive Carrot to revive it, and instead you could just place down the normal plant by itself. As though really, the only time that the Intensive Carrot is ever useful if a plant like Wintermelon gets eaten, but the majority of the time, the Wintermelons won't be getting eaten because they're at the end of the lawn. So chances are, if there's any plants actually worth reviving, you're probably already gonna lose the level because all the expensive plants usually never get eaten when you're playing Plants vs. Zombies, so if that ends up happening, you're probably not even gonna have to revive them and you're just probably gonna end up losing the level. So yeah, overall, at first it seems like a good idea, but in actual use is not too good. Now next up we have the Levitator, and well, the Levitator is just a really bad plant as well it could only attack one zombie every 10 seconds. As well, every 10 seconds, it'll cause the closest zombie to it to begin to float, and after 5 seconds, it has a 50% chance of tossing them off the lawn. So this plant can basically do nothing, as well, literally every 10 seconds, it has a chance of killing a zombie. And well, if the zombie doesn't get thrown on the lawn, it'll just be placed down on the ground a few tiles behind from where it originally levitated from. So yeah, this ends up being one of the most useless plants in the game, as though literally it has a chance of killing a zombie and only a 50% chance, which isn't even that good. And well, next up we have the Hypno Shroom, and well, the Hypno Shroom is just a really simplistic plant, as well it costs 125 sun and has a 20-second recharge time. And while this plant is pretty simple, as well, all you have to do is place this plant down, and the zombie that eats it first will be hypnotized and put onto your side, and it'll start attacking the other zombies. And well, you do have to be a bit strategic with this plant, as well you have to place it down in front of some powerful zombies, as well if a basic zombie eats it, it'll basically just be a complete waste. So yeah, because you actually have to be a bit strategic with this plant, you can't just place it down normally and hope for the best. It actually could be pretty annoying to deal with. And well, especially because now in the game, there's a lot better plants that hypnotize zombies much more efficiently, this plant just really isn't that useful anymore. Now at the number 10 spot we have the Hocus Crocus, and well, this plant is just basically a worse version of the Thyme Warp. As well, by itself, this plant can't even kill a zombie, as well it costs 200 sun, it has a 20-second recharge time, and instead of actually attacking the zombies, it just teleports the zombies back to the beginning of the lawn, basically the same way as the Thyme Warp, except that it's just with single zombies. And well, with each teleportation that it does, it deals 100 damage, though that's not too much, especially because it only teleports zombies every few seconds, so it's not really that useful. So yeah, I really have no idea why they added this plant to the game, especially because the Thyme Warp already existed, and that's basically just a much better version of this plant, as well this plant could only do single zombies when the Thyme Warp could do the whole lawn. Now next up we have the Witch Hazel, and well, the Witch Hazel is actually a really unique plant, as well I'm pretty sure there's no other plant in the game at the moment that does the exact same thing. As well, instead of hypnotizing the plants like some other plants would like Collie Power, this one actually turns them into actual plants themselves. As well, every 18 seconds, it turns the closest zombie to it into a puff shroom. So it basically just makes it a bit more useful, as well not only does it completely kill the zombie, it also gives you another plant, though it is a puff shroom, so it's not really that good. And well, from levels 1 to 6 it turns into a puff shroom, though once you get up to level 7 it turns them into a fume shroom. Though since you actually have to level the plant up and basically have to spend real money to get seed packets, it's not really worth doing. And well, the Witch Hazel will actually prioritize attacking the wizard zombies, which is just really useful, as well wizard zombies are usually really annoying to deal with, so that's another plus about this plant. But yeah, the main reason why it's this low on the list is just because 18 seconds per zombie is just really bad. As it only kills one zombie every 18 seconds, which is one of the slowest attacks in the entire game, and since it usually only turns the zombies into puff shrooms, it's just not really that useful. Now next up we have the maybe, and well, when the maybe is first placed down, the bees will immediately attack the closest zombie to the maybe's attack area, and the bees will immediately start killing the zombie. And well, the bees will continuously attack the zombie over and over again until the zombie is weak enough where it could just instantly kill it. And well, after the first target zombie is killed, the bees will linger around the 3x3 area for around 10 seconds, and any zombie that goes into that area will immediately be attacked. And well, after around 10 seconds of no zombies being in that area, the bees will just completely disappear and go back to the maybe. So yeah, overall this plan does sound pretty good until you realize that it just doesn't really deal too much damage, and the majority of the time it'll only kill 1 to 2 zombies. And since that happens in around a 20-second time period, it only kills around 1 zombie per 10 seconds, which isn't too good. And well, since the actual plan itself has a 20-second recharge time and it has a really high sun cost of 300 sun, it's just not too good. Now next up we have the Collie Power, which is basically just a buff version of the Hypno Shroom. As well, when you first place this plant down, it'll immediately hypnotize 1 zombie, and after that, every 12 seconds it'll be able to hypnotize 1 zombie. And well, the main downside with this plant is the recharge time, as well every 45 seconds you could only place down 1 Collie Power. Which I didn't really realize until making this video how long the recharge time is for this plant, as well 45 seconds for PVZ2 is a really long time. And well, it costs 250 sun, which really isn't that much, especially when you compare the cost of the normal Hypno Shroom, it is worth it. So yeah, I think that PopCap should reduce the recharge time on this plan, as well if it does that, it'll be a bit more useful, but besides that, there's nothing else to say about this plan, as well it just hypnotizes zombies. And well, next up we have the Zoybean, which is once again sort of like a hypnotizing zombie plant, though it's a bit different, as well it actually spawns in zombies that are already hypnotized for you. As well, it spawns in these zombies called zomboids, which are basically just zombies that are automatically on your side, which are pretty useful. And while unlike normal hypnotized zombies, are the actual zombies actually a bit more powerful than the normal zombies, as well as zomboids could actually deal more damage and also take in more damage. And while the zomboids also have different variants of them, so some could be more powerful than the others. And while when you give the plant food to the Zoybean, it'll immediately spawn in our Gargantuar zomboid. So yeah, overall, Zoybean's actually a pretty good plant, and every 18 seconds it spawns in one of these zombies, which is pretty slow, and for the actual recharge time of the plant, it's also pretty slow, as well as 20 seconds. And well, for the sun cost, I would say it's pretty good, as well 200 sun is definitely worth it, especially for how powerful these zombies are. And well, next up we have the Power Lily, and well, there's not much to say about this one. It costs 175 sun, it has a 60-second recharge time, and it gives you 1 plant food. So yeah, every 60 seconds you could just place down this plant and immediately get 1 plant food, and it's probably one of the simplest plants in the entire game, though it still works pretty well. And while at the number 4 spot, we actually have the newest plant in this family, and one of the newest plants in the game being the Snake Lily. Now, the Snake Lily is basically just a better version of the Zoybean, as well once again it turns the zombies into these zomboids, as well instead of just spawning in zomboids by itself, it actually turns the actual zombies into zomboids, already making it a bit more useful than the Zoybean. As well, they immediately kill the zombies, also turn them into zomboids to attack the other zombies, and well, it does this by spawning in these enchanted tornadoes that transform the zombies into this, and they also deal very heavy damage to all the other zombies around them that don't get turned into the zomboids. And while it spawns in these tornadoes every 9 seconds, which compared to the other plants in this family is actually pretty fast. And while it has a really reasonable sun cost of 200 sun, it also has a 45-second recharge time, which once again is pretty high. But yeah, this is basically just a buff version of the Zoybean, as well it basically spawns in all the zomboids, but it basically just does it in a way that's 10 times better than the original Zoybean. And well, next up we have the Tile Turnup, and well, the Tile Turnup is sort of a confusing plant, as well every time you place this plant down, the sun cost increases. So the first time you place down the Tile Turnup, it's completely free, but after that, you'll actually have to start spending sun. And well, it's actually the only plant in the game to work this way, and one of the only plants in the entire franchise to actually increase how much sun that it costs, and has a 10-second recharge time. And well, what these power tiles actually do when you place down the Tile Turnup is that once you place down enough of them, it put plants on top of them. Once you give 1 plant food, it immediately gives them all plant food. which is definitely a really useful ability, which is why it's number 3 on the list, but I couldn't put it any higher, mainly just because of the really high sun cost that it ends up getting to. And well, next up we have the Shrinking Violet, which immediately shrinks the zombie that is next to, no matter what it is, being a basic zombie all the way up to a Gargantuar. And well, not only that, it shrinks zombies in a 3x3 area, meaning that right at the beginning of the wave, if you place it down right in the middle of the wave, you could basically shrink tons of zombies. And well, not only that, if the imp ends up being in the 3x3 area of the shrinking radius, the imp will just immediately disappear, and same thing with the zombie chickens. And well, it basically turns every single zombie that it shrinks basically into the health of an imp, so they're just really easy to kill. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best plants in the entire game, and it's definitely the best Gemium plant in the entire game, as well it basically just makes every single zombie that it hits extremely weak. And well, somehow this plant only costs 50 sun, which is actually a really good sun cost, and it has a pretty good 15-second recharge time, which is once again just really good, especially for what this plant does. And well, at the number 1 spot for the best plant in the Enchantmint family, we have the Imitator. And well, the reason why the Imitator is number 1 on this list is, well, the Imitator could literally beat any plant in the game. And well, because of this, Imitator has some of the best combos in the game as well, for example, we have the Gold Bloom combo, where you can literally double the Gold Bloom sun cost right at the beginning of the level. As well, you could immediately get 750 sun using the Imitator and the Gold Bloom, which is just extremely overpowered, and there's also a ton of other combos out there. So yeah, because Imitator could literally beat any plant in the game, it could literally be better than every single other plant on this list, which is why it's number 1. Though it does sort of matter on how the player uses the Imitator, as well I guess the Imitator could also be the worst plant in the game, mattering on which plant you choose to imitate. But yeah, comment down below if you agree with this list or not, and also comment which plant family I should rank next, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like and subscribe, and have a great day.